It's the end of the year, and it's time to pick the teams of the year. And as you know, it's never easy, but it's an exercise that forces you to look back at all that happened. It's a nice little analytical exercise. It's one that I enjoy doing, even though it's very, very difficult. And I'm starting with the test team of the year now. Peculiar year, 23. To some extent, 22 was peculiar year too, in that we're playing lesser and lesser test cricket. Now, normally in a good year, in a normal year, you play about 45, 46 test matches. There were only 32 test matches played in 2023. Now, what that means is your team could get skewed by performances of a couple of teams that played a lot of test match cricket. They could get skewed by performances against one easy opposition where you piled on the runs, so took a lot more wickets. Or with a shorter series, you went to another country. By the time you got accustomed to the conditions, the series was over. So when you have such few test matches, it gets really tricky. So there's a lot of instinct. There's a lot of personal preference in the test match team that I have picked. But I hope we have more test matches as we go along in 2024. So that's the first thing. The second thing to remember is this is not the best test team among all those playing test cricket at the moment. I say that every year. This is a team based on performances for the year. So you'll have someone like Harsha Bhogle, excellent player, only played a handful of test matches. So it's very difficult to judge on the basis of that. So I've got to look at performances. What I've done is looked at the stats, looked at the key numbers, and then made a decision from within those. But no, it wasn't easy. I've got players from 4 countries in there. My great fear is that test cricket will come down to just these 4 countries. So I'm hoping a lot of the other countries play a lot more test match cricket. But at the moment, that is what it is. Okay, so how was it to pick the team? Number 1 in batting order. Number 1, 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, 11, even 9 to some extent. These were fairly easy to pick. There were some very contentious choices, especially at number 2, number 5, and number 8. So if I've piqued your curiosity, let's start. The first was the easiest to pick. There really was one standout opener. Dare I say one standout batter in Test cricket across 22 and 23. The only one to score more than 1,000 runs, Usman Khwaja, who made 1,168 runs at the time of recording this at an average of 55.61. Is just in awesome form on the ground. Usman Khwaja is my first pick. Now, second pick. Do I go with batting averages and pick Rohit Sharma? Do I go with impact and look at Zach Crawley? Do I look at a little combination of those, left-handedness? I know I've got Khwaja, but do I look at Ben Duckett? Do I look at someone who's always slightly below the radar and very consistent in Dimuth Karunaratne? Now, I've got to make a choice here. Where did Rohit Sharma get his runs? He got them in the West Indies. Not his fault that he was playing against an easier opposition. He got his runs in West Indies. He got his runs in India. You could argue the same about Crawley. Ben Duckett filled his boots with the 182 of 178 balls only against Ireland. Dimuth Karunaratne got 200s against Ireland in home conditions. So how do you balance all this out? Eventually, I went with impact. I went with the fact that Zach Crawley was playing against very good bowling sides in those conditions almost throughout. And so Zach Crawley is my second opener. So that's Khwaja and Crawley out of the way. Then I breathed a sigh of relief because I was looking at 3 and 4, the easiest to pick on the evidence of what they did this year. I went with Kane Williamson. He hit 400s. Joe Root hit upwards of 700 runs. He hit 200s, lots of 50s, good average. Joe Root started to evolve as a test match batter as he went along too. So Williamson 3, Joe Root 4 was very easy. And then I hit a roadblock again. Number 5. There was Virat Kohli. I mean, he could bat 4, Root could bat 5. That's a separate issue. Virat Kohli came back very strongly, averaged more than 50 in 2023. And that was one of the most pleasant things that happened in this year. But there was Harry Brook, who had a breakthrough season. He made over 700 runs. And he also created a lot of impact, got runs quickly, got runs at difficult times for England. There was Travis Head, who had his moments. Not the least in that World Test Championship final when he took the game away from India with 160. But he averaged 42, so he blew hot, blew cold. And then there was Kusal Mendes. Again, a lot of runs against Ireland in home conditions. But he made 586. So how do you choose? It was the Rohit Sharma, Zach Crawley conundrum again. Do you go Harry Brook? Do you go Virat Kohli? That was my shortlist. very easy to go on reputation and say Virat Kohli, but I thought it was a genuine breakout year for Harry Brook. Got a big 100. He got runs quickly, established himself as a top test match player. And so I'm going slightly unpopular choice. But given what happened in 2023, Harry Brook is my number 5. That's out of the way. Now 6 and 7. Wicketkeeper all-rounder, you can bat them in whatever order you want. The all-rounder was the easiest choice. There's a reason that Ravindra Jadeja is the number 1 player in the world. He took 33 wickets. He scored 281 runs at an average of 35, among the best fielders in the world. So very easy choice. Jadeja, given the fact that I've got a left-hander at the top and then I've got a lot of right-handers, maybe Jadeja at 6. That brings us to the wicketkeeper. 2 choices there with the wicketkeeper. You could go Johnny Bairstow. 322 runs at an average of just over 40. But struggled a little bit early on as a wicketkeeper. He hadn't kept wickets for a while. He was coming back. I went with a better wicketkeeper who doesn't give you too much little. As a batter, he got 100 this year too. He got a few other good scores. Tom Blundell averaged 36. Sometimes, much as we did with BJ Watling, we let the New Zealand keepers go under the radar a little bit. They've actually been very good. So I'm going with Ravindra Jadeja and Tom Blundell at 6 and 7. I'll leave 8 aside. May not be in batting order depending on which player you pick at 8. I had 4 fast bowlers to choose from. The Aussie trio were fantastic. That's Cummins, Starc and Hazelwood. And in his final year, he was excellent. It was Stuart Broad, who took 38 wickets. Yes, again, Ireland played a few test matches. He got wickets against them. But he had a really good Ashes, constantly troubling the left-handers. And every time I was watching the Ashes, I was watching England bowl. He looked the only bowler who was likely to take wickets consistently until Chris Woakes came along later in the year. So I've gone with Stuart Broad. I've gone with the left-handedness of Mitch Starc. And I've gone with the meanness and the new ball skills of Josh Hazelwood. So there's 3 unpopular choices in my team. Let the responses come. I'll just put on some armor and wait for them. No Rohit, no Virat, no Pat Cummins. So finally, you go by instinct. You look at all the numbers. So that's what I've got. There leaves number 8. Who do I pick? From Ravichandran Ashwin and Nathan Lyon. Both had really good seasons. Nathan Lyon had 43 wickets from 9 test matches. He took wickets everywhere. Ashwin only had 6 test matches, but he took 40 wickets. There was one performance that tipped the scales in my favor, and that was on a very good surface. He bowled upwards of 40 overs, nearly 50 overs, and took 6 for 91 against Australia. Those were not in typical Indian conditions, bowled beautifully, and that is why I'm going with Ravichandran Ashwin over Nathan Lyon at number 8. So that's my side. I've got an aggressive opener and a solid opener in Crawley and Khwaja. I've got Williamson and Root. Again, Brook, who's a powerful striker of the ball. Then the wicketkeeper, Blundell and Jadeja as the all-rounders. Ashwin as my second spinner and batter at number 8. And then I've gone left-hand Starc, right-hand Hazelwood, and the impact of Stuart Broad. Remember, once again, these were performances from this year. And wherever it was difficult to choose, as I said, I've gone by instinct. Tell me what you think, but more important, look at all the numbers. Don't just make a team from the top of your head. Make your own team, but look at all the numbers, see where the numbers came from. It's a wonderful exercise to do as we come to the end of 2023, and then come and attack me. Or maybe agree with me. Who knows? Cheers.